Hello everyone, welcome to our group's pitch about the approach Poetic metaphor makers and meaning readers, a game-based dual coding approach to teaching metaphor. There are 3 members in our group 5. My name is JINYAN, and there are also WANG and WENFENG here. Imagine a student reads the line, "Hope is a thing with fevers" by Emilia Dixon, and then asks, "Teacher, how can hope have fevers?" This conversation is actually very common in Poetry classroom today, but this question reveals something important. Students are trying to understand metaphor laterally. In fact, metaphor allows us to feel meaning beyond words. It connects emotion, imagination, and abstract ideas. As George Lakoff and Mark Johnson explained in 1980, metaphor is not just a literal device, but a way of thinking that shapes how we understand abstract concepts. Metaphor transforms ordinary words into emotion, imagination, and deeper meaning, and that's why metaphor is one of the most important poetic devices in poetry. However, for many Form 2 students, metaphor is actually quite difficult. For example, when students read the line, "Julia is a son from Romeo and Juliet" by William Shakespeare, they often ask, "Teacher, how can a person be the son?" This happens because students tend to understand language laterally. They focus only on the surface meaning, instead of the deeper, figurative meaning. In fact, according to the Zontan Conveyances in 2010, students struggle with metaphor because they find it hard to connect abstract ideas with real-life experience. As a result, poetry becomes confusing, boring, and difficult to understand. So in many traditional classrooms, metaphor is usually taught through definitions, note copying, worksheets, and exam drilling. Students memorize things like a metaphor compares 2 things without using like or as. But even after memorizing this, they still cannot understand hidden meanings, enjoy poetry, or create their own metaphors. So in the end, metaphor becomes memorization instead of imaginations. Therefore, we start to ask ourselves, how can we make metaphor more meaningful, more creative, and more exciting? My teammate will now present our solution next.
Our proposed solution is called Metaphor Makers and Meaning Readers. This is a game-based dual coding approach designed to transform how Form 2 students learn metaphor. Instead of memorizing definitions or simply identifying examples, students take on 2 active roles. First, they become meaning readers, where they interpret and make sense of metaphorical language. Second, they become metaphor makers, where they create their own metaphors using imagination and language. This represents an important shift in learning, from memorizing and identifying to interpreting and creating meaning. This approach is supported by 3 key learning theories. First, game-based learning. According to James Powell G. 2007, well-designed games promote learning through challenge, interaction, and active participation. In our approach, this is reflected through structured levels, tasks, and progression, which increase students' engagement. Second, dual coding theory, proposed by L. Pavio. This theory suggests that students learn more effectively when information is presented through both verbal and visual forms. By combining images with metaphorical language, abstract meanings become more concrete and easier to understand. Third, constructivism, based on Lev Vygotsky. Constructivism emphasizes that learners actively construct their own understandings through interaction and experiences. In our approach, students are not given meaning directly. Instead, they interpret images, discuss ideas, and create metaphors themselves. This approach has 5 key features. First, it is structured as a game-based progression with 3 levels: decode, build, and create. This helps students move step by step from understanding to producing metaphors. Second, it integrates visual and verbal elements, where images support students in understanding abstract meanings. Third, it focuses on meaning construction, where students interpret meanings instead of memorizing definitions. Fourth, it uses interactive challenges such as choices and tasks to increase engagement. Finally, it emphasizes creative language production where students generate their own metaphors. This progression will be demonstrated through a 3-level game in the next section. What makes this approach innovative is that it is designed as a structured learning progression rather than a set of isolated activities. Students move step by step from decoding meaning to creating their own metaphors. At the same time, learning becomes both visual and interactive, which makes the abstract concepts more accessible to students. Most importantly, students are positioned as active meaning makers rather than passive learners. This idea is also inspired by Makers and Readers framework proposed by Beach and colleagues, which emphasizes that learners should not only interpret text but also produce their own.
Now we take a look at a demonstration video on how do we apply our game-based learning in real class.
Hello students! Welcome to our Metaphor Challenge game today. Are you ready?
Yes!
Now let's start. For the first level, we call it decode meaning. We can see here is a picture of an erupting volcano. And according to this picture, please answer this question. What does this represent? Anyone? Yeah, please.
I think it's angle B.
Yes, correct. You are so smart. You successfully linked the visual picture to an abstract meaning, and this also reflects the dual coding theory. Well done. Now we're going up to level 2, build the metaphor. You can see here is a sentence with a blank, and still this is the picture. So based on this picture, please answer this question using metaphor. Anyone?
My heart is fire.
Yeah, close, but this isn't correct. Anyone else?
My heart is volcano.
Yes, right. You're doing great. Okay, finally, we are reaching level 3, the final round. Create your own. You can see here are 2 pictures, and what are in front of them are 2 void blanks. And what you're going to do now is to respectively describe them using metaphor. So anyone wants to try? Please.
Her face looks like a sun.
Well, almost there, but you have to use metaphor.
Her smile is sunshine.
Yes, right. Standard answer. Next.
My sandals is red.
Yes, right. Well done. Well, this is the end of our game today, and step by step you have learned a lot from decoding meaning to build and even create your own metaphors. So I believe you are now becoming, you're both becoming metaphor makers. Well done. Now, here are your rewards. Please take them. Congratulations. Thank you for your participation.
Based on the video above, now let's take a look at the amazing benefits of our project. First, it greatly develops their literary skills. Students can truly understand metaphors, correctly interpret poems, and fully appreciate the beauty of figurative language instead of just memorizing rules. Second, it improves their essential language skills. They will learn more vocabulary, practice clear speaking, and build confidence in creative writing in a fun way. Most importantly, our method helps students build key 21st century skills, including creativity, teamwork, confidence, and critical thinking. But beyond all these skills, the best result is that students finally start to enjoy poetry. They no longer see it as a boring, difficult task. Instead, they become interested, curious, and willing to explore the wonderful world of figurative language. In conclusion, traditional metaphor teaching only focuses on memorization, not meaning-making. Students pass exams but cannot truly interpret or create metaphors. Our game-based dual coding approach with the Metaphor Quest Kit transforms students from passive learners into active meaning readers and metaphor creators. It reduces poetry anxiety, improves understanding, and perfectly fits Form 2 learners. In the past, students asked, "What is the correct answer?" Now they ask, "What does it mean? And can I create my own metaphor?" This is real learning. We don't just teach metaphor. We teach imagination, meaning, and expression. And here is our reference list. Well, that's all for our presentation. Now it's Q&A session. Feel free to ask anything.